It does make me wonder, with all those people in the theater, was there nobody that was carrying that could have stopped this guy more quickly?
And Dennis, as somebody who's devoted to sensible gun control, those numbers would seem to indicate that your side is losing the argument here in the United States. What do you make of that?
Well, I would contest that, and polls show very different things. For example, the polls show that a lot of Americans think we have a lot stronger gun laws than we actually do. Frank Luntz, the Republican pollster and messaging maven, has found that a majority of Americans actually believe we have background checks on all gun sales, when in fact we don't. We only have background checks on sales by licensed gun dealers, and we need to extend those background checks to all sales. When Frank Luntz and other pollsters have asked the American people, do you support specific changes in our gun laws to make them stronger, they overwhelmingly support those changes. Over 85% of the American people support extending Brady background checks to all gun sales, including over 80% of gun owners. We actually have a consensus in this country that we ought to make our gun laws stronger. What we don't have is politicians who are listening to the people. We instead have politicians who are cowering in fear of the gun lobby, doing their bidding and not doing what is necessary for the safety of the American people.
Well, speaking of politicians like that, here was Texas Congressman Louie Gohmert today and his thoughts on the tragedy in Colorado. Listen to the congressman.
It does make me wonder, with all those people in the theater, was there nobody that was carrying that could have stopped this guy more quickly?
Matt, I know you're a reporter, so you may not want to weigh in on this, but I've been around guns all my life, and whenever I hear somebody talk like that about, gee, if more people had guns, they could have done something. And then I imagine a crowded theater with smoke, flashing lights, gunshots going off, people panicking and screaming. And then I imagine what would happen if a bunch of people stood off and just started firing, even if they were firing towards the assailant here. Those bullets would be going through walls and hitting people. Real chaos would break out. How does somebody like Louie Gohmert say something this foolish? You can go ahead and weigh in on this. What Louie Gohmert said was just frankly stupid. I mean, anybody who knows anything about guns would not imagine that would be a good scenario to have going on there. How do you respond to something like that?
Well, you hear this kind of insanity all the time from the other side, and I would turn the clock back to the horrible shooting that victimized your dad and that victimized Jim Brady. I mean, those were two public officials who were surrounded by well-armed, well-trained people, and it didn't stop that shooting. And as a matter of fact, Colorado as a state, unfortunately, has made it easier for people to get concealed weapons, and that didn't stop this shooting. So this is a fantasy that more guns means less crime, less violence. What we need are common sense measures to keep guns out of the hands of these dangerous people in the first place. That's what the American people want. And the problem is that this debate always gets so polarized. People say, well, if President Obama were to do anything to show some leadership towards common sense measures to prevent these shootings, it would be an attack on the Second Amendment. And that's not true at all. I got to leave. We have to leave it there. Thank you, Matt Cooper and Dennis Hennigan. Appreciate you both coming in and being with us.
Bye.